What's going on, Internet? Tony Tucker here, MJT Football, and this is just a channel. A couple of friends getting to hang out and talk about football. That's what we love, and we do this thing every week where we're like, oh, the games last week or the slate or whatever, it's not that good. And I think in the second half, like depending on whether or not your team was playing, it probably thought that it wasn't really that great, but it's football. And all off season, all we do is hear people go, I can't wait for football. I can't wait for football. So let's not complain collectively when it doesn't quite turn out. But this week is very different. We've got a great game in the morning. We've got a great game in the afternoon. Sunday night football. I will be in attendance. Best wife in the world, right? It's like date night for us. Fantastic. Chargers, Bengals. Can't wait to watch that one. And then Monday night, I don't know, battle for Texas. But we're just going to go through the games, talk about them, create some graphics, little point spread, a little over under, and have some fun. Anything you want to say about Thursday night football before we get into the weekend? As far as the Commanders losing 2 games in 5 days, Jaden Daniels it looked a little rough. Maybe some injury out there. Maybe a Ricky Wall situation, and then the Eagles.
Well, I don't think it's the Ricky Wall, Tony. Cliff Kingsbury. This is a Cliff Kingsbury coaching team right here. This is what we've seen from them. If you go back and look at every Cliff Kingsbury team, they start off great the first half of the season, and then what happens in the second half? Now, can this be different with Jaden Daniels? Like I texted you earlier in the week where I have Jaden Daniels as my starting quarterback for fantasy football, so I had to think if I wanted to play him on Thursday night. Luckily, I did not. But you know what? We got to give a little bit of credit to the Eagles. The Eagles' defense and Vic Fangio is on fire. Mitchell is a great cornerback out there. Like this is just a good team, and the Washington Commanders are over exceeding expectations of what people had on them this year. And we got to remember that they're still a growing young team, and they're going to fight. They're going to go up against good teams and lose. But I don't know if this could be a bigger story with Cliff Kingsbury and see how that offense continues to go. But now they have 10 days to rest and see if they can fix it. But I didn't expect the Commanders to win that game anyways.
So I was on the other side of that coin. I was wrong. I had the Commanders covering. Right before the game, I switched my pick to the Eagles to win, just because I wanted Lattimore to be out there for them, but he's still working through the hamstring. I'm going to disagree with the Kingsbury stuff, right? Because I think that we need to see like another season of this, barring that some owner isn't crazy enough to give this guy a job like right now. But I think I want to see another season, because if we all go back to what we thought about this team in the preseason, none of us thought they were going to be this good. Like I was called crazy for saying they were going to have 7 wins. So like they've overachieved like to whatever extent you want to say that overachievement is at. So I'm going to wait, reserve a little judgment on Clifford and see what happens here in the final. I think they have 6 games left. They have a bye still coming up, that late season bye. So my thing was more on the Eagles side. Like for whatever reason, if they figure out how to start better in the first half, the Eagles are right there with the Lions as far as one of the top teams that I could see in the Super Bowl. There's just something off about San Francisco this year, but I mean, Eagles, Lions, that would be a fun NFC Championship game.
Yeah, and I'll take it, and I'll call it right now. Eagles win that game.
In Detroit, come on. I'm picking Detroit to be there. The only reason that the Lions were not my Super Bowl pick this year is because I didn't want to be it felt like everybody had the Lions. So I went with the Rams, and that one's not looking so great.
Hold on. Let me double check my notes real quick, Tony. And you know how I do this. I just got them written down right here somewhere.
I don't remember who you had when we picked all that stuff out there. Rory, good morning. I got the Chiefs Bills game second up in the rundown here when we get to it. Whenever Joe figures out, just lie, Joe. Like nobody's really gonna.
Well, no, I had the Eagles, and I was trying to figure out who I had them playing. I think it's Steelers.
Eagles, ooh.
But I don't know if this was this year or last year.
The battle for Pennsylvania.
One of those.
Could we have a battle for Pennsylvania politically and in the NFL? Let's get to the first game of the week. We're going to the AFC North.
Tony. You went fancy this week.
On the line. Yeah, I picked it up because eventually we are going to switch this to our other channel, which is Fifth Down Shop on YouTube. If you're watching this, go on over and subscribe there. We will be doing Pick'em show on there at some point there. This is a game where it's like I looked at like another reason that I included the over under was like Joe, when we were coming up, a 48.5 point total for this game would have been unheard of. Like, because both of these teams, like the defenses, we always thought the score was going to be like 13-9 or 7-12, like just like weird games like that. And the fact that both of these teams' identity kind of like historically is defense, and the point total is almost 50 in this one. The Ravens, like in this game, have a shot to, I think, really not take, like, you can't take control with this many games left, but this would be a massive win because the next time they play Pittsburgh, it's going to be in Baltimore. So if they can find a way to get this one, having the second one at home would be a massive steal. I think that the Steelers really turned a corner last week where it was like, okay, they're figuring this out. They can play from behind in these games where Russell Wilson is like, he's going to take good shots, the right shots, and get big explosive plays down the field. I love seeing Mike Williams score that touchdown. It's fantastic.
Big Mike Williams. And he took a shot at Aaron Rodgers after the game on a tweet, so that was good. Baltimore is the number one scoring offense right now. Do you know that?
I thought it was like them. I also thought that the Bengals are pretty high up there. I didn't know who was number one in scoring, but it makes sense. The Ravens are. Yeah.
But Pittsburgh behind the Chargers are the number 2 scoring defense. They don't allow a lot of points. So this is going to be a good matchup. I don't know, Tony. The Ravens are a good team, but they have losses to who? The Raiders. They have losses to the Browns. And who was the other team? Was it the Bengals?
No, they didn't lose that game. They won in the last second. It's the Chiefs, week 1.
Okay, Chiefs. So
yeah.
So 3 AFC teams have beat them. I don't know. I really want to think that the Ravens are going to come out here, dominate this game, but there's no way that I'm going to go against Mike Tomlin and this Steelers. Like you said, the Steelers are finding ways to win games, and it's adding Mike Williams was a great addition and something that we'll look back at the end of this year and go, that was a good move for him at the trade deadline. Like adding him with George Pickens and Russell Wilson playing better than what we all thought. Took his time to come back from injury. A lot of people questioned why they were going to go with Russell Wilson over Justin Fields, but it looked like the right decision, and it's good. It's getting going, and you know what I like is that they also use their tight ends too, Tony. Like you're saying, Washington used more in that offense, and we already know what the Steelers defense is. So I'm going with the Steelers this week, Tony, and I know that's not I don't think that's the popular opinion right now. I think a lot of people.
Yeah, if you're picking the game straight up, I think the numbers support the Ravens. Picking against the spread, I picked when the game was at plus 3.5 for the Steelers. I think that's more of the side people end up on. I just want to go kind of away from this game more globally. Do you ever just sit there and just be jealous of a franchise like the Steelers when you look around at what they've been able to do? Like they go out, get Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, we can say that both of these decisions have worked. Then at the trade deadline, in 1 week, Mike Williams catches a game-winning touchdown. Preston Smith is out there on the defensive side causing problems, filling in for the Highsmith injury. Like, I'm just, if I'm a fan of one of the teams that has just struggled for like 20 years, I just look around and go like, can we just do exactly what the Steelers are doing? Can we just hire smart people, get out of the way, and let them run the organization? Like, everything seems to be working and clicking for the Steelers. There's something going on in a very positive fashion for Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah, and I gotta listen to it all the time because, like I told you, I have family members that are all Steeler fans, and I just gotta listen to them all the damn time. Like, you watch us? Yeah, I watched the game. All right, I understand.
I love it. So we're both picking the Steelers this week. I like this game at home. I do think, obviously, having a chance to steal this one for Baltimore would be massive. Let's go to my game of the week right here. Chiefs, Bills. There's like all these stats when you hear people and they talk about it, like Patrick Mahomes as a underdog, less than 3 points or whatever. He's 13-2, just all these crazy numbers that support, like counting Patrick Mahomes out or not being the favorite in a game is foolish. I looked at the Bills injury report, and I think that to me is like the thing where I'm more so bummed about this game because I want the Bills to win, but I just have to pick the Chiefs. Like, you look, it's like Spencer Brown, I think the name is the right tackle. He's banged up. Then you got Kincaid. He's out of the game, or Coleman out of the game. Amari Cooper's dealing with a hand injury. It's like they're not even fighting this game at full strength. So you got to hope that the defense comes with that performance. We got to hope that Josh Allen has one of those games where it's like 70 to 80 yards rushing, maybe even scores a touchdown with his legs. It's like, we, as fans who just root against the Chiefs, and I'm sorry, Rory, like, I know that you're here and you are a Chiefs fan, but I just want this to end. Like, watching that win, I went to go get water, and I was getting ready for the Chargers game last week, and there's like the block kick or however it worked out. I left the room, and I just heard my wife in there going, "You've got to be kidding me. This is unreal." And I was like, "What happened? What happened?" And I come running into the room, and there's a mad scramble for the ball. I'm like, this is a chip shot. This is a gimme field goal. This was the end. They were going to catch an L, a big loss too. Being a Division I, just frustrating. Very, very frustrating. I'm picking the Bills. What do you think? I know you got to be rooting for the Bills in this game, but like, what do you think? You think they can do it?
Well, you got to remember, I picked the Broncos last week to beat the Chiefs, and I'm sitting there, and we're in a restaurant, right? And it's funny because we went to some barbecue place in LA, and they had no games on TV. Like, they had like old basketball highlights and stuff on. And so everybody, like, I'm looking around the restaurant, and I have, the red zone on my phone, or the games on my phone. Well, I have my phone set up. I'm looking at all the other tables. People have their phones set up. And here's I don't know how it was, but my phone was ahead of everybody else in the restaurant. So I'm watching the game, and I'm into it. And I'm like, here it goes, and I go, oh, they blocked it, and I'm like pissed, but I'm like trying not to give it away. So my wife's sitting next to me, and she goes, "No, they did." And I was like, "Yeah, they blocked it. The Chiefs, they won." And she goes, "Well, let's watch everybody else's reaction in the restaurant," because everybody else was like, I don't know, like 30 seconds behind us. So we turn around. Oh, and that, like, you just saw all the tables, it was just a massive amount of people that were just pissed off that the Chiefs won again and somehow found a way to win at the end of the game. And then you just watch that guard get blown up all over social media this week. Pat McAfee just went off on him, says he should never be on the field again. Just a horrible way to lose that game. And hopefully that doesn't affect the Broncos going forward, but that should give the Chiefs that the Chiefs don't need it already, but just to sit there and be like, we can win any game. It don't matter what happens. We got this. Like, that's what pisses me off the most. The Buffalo Bills, are in that same situation, right? That every time they play they play the Chiefs, they have a lead and they're about to win the game and something happens. 13 seconds left, they still lose the damn game. So there's no way, like you said, with all the injuries on the Buffalo Bills side and the way that Josh Allen, like last week, I was looking at him like this is one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and he just throws interceptions like to random ass people, like the defensive player was all by himself. He's like, "Thanks, Josh. I'll take that." It's like, what are you doing? So no, there's no way. I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs in this game as well. I don't want to, but I mean, 10-0, 10-0.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating to watch. On a show earlier this week, I talked about how that's the kind of play that I think gives them like some sort of momentum, where it's like, guys, we literally can't be beat. I'm like, we're locked in. Whether they admit it or not, they're thinking big picture. This team is thinking about the Super Bowl. Like that's what they prepare each week. They're focused on each week, but this team is definitely thinking about three-peating. And so it's like they're just trying to get to the dance. Now it's like, could we really just do anything? Like maybe we can't lose. Maybe it's our destiny to put together like the crowning achievement on the best dynasty that we've ever seen possibly in sports. You know, like obviously you could go back. There's some Celtics teams that won like 9 titles in a row, or, you know, there's been some impressive dynasties in the past, but this would be one where it's like incredible to finish off like an undefeated season and win your 3rd consecutive Super Bowl. Like one, I think that's terrible for the NFL, but it doesn't ultimately matter because we're all still going to watch. We're all still going to be lined up, ready to, you know, eat up whatever they're serving at the draft, thinking our teams have, you know, like I almost made a meme and sent it to you this week of like, it was like the Titanic. It's like Raiders in the off season. And it's like, you know, them like, you're here when they're like at the boat and she's flying. And then cut to what the Raiders are like in the regular season. They're floating on a piece of driftwood, like dying in the middle of the sea. That's how I feel what Raiders fans are going through. Yeah, go Buffalo. Let's win. Rory, what's Rory's thoughts on this game? Yeah.
He hasn't said anything. He's still talking about the Steelers, so I'm sure he'll catch up in a minute.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll check those out whenever he does. Get them back in here. Joe, let's go to your team. Let's go to Miami. Dolphins, Raiders, both of these teams, I think not where they wanted to be, but somehow like they're in the same boat, but like they don't have the same equipment to move the boat. It's like you're in the middle of the ocean with like a broken oar, and they're like, hey, we just got to shovel some coal into the furnace here, and we can just start charging. And I'm not joking, Joe. This is like the Dolphins I think you guys have similar records. You guys are both like 3-7 or something like that, like bad records. But
Dolphins, we're 2-7. Okay, they're 3-6.
Okay. All right. I don't want to. Yeah, it's both situations are bad. But one team clearly to me is in a much better situation is what I'm getting at here. Like the
Dolphins played a couple games without Tua. Their defense is better. Their defense is actually looking pretty damn good. But the Raiders coming off a bye week, Tony, come on. And they just reset. I just watched all the Antonio Pierce press conferences. He said, you know what? You can't take you could say that we're not out there fighting, but you can't take the commitment that we have out there away. And then he named Gardner Minshew the starter for this game, and it just got us all hyped up again, like Minshew mania. Like, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
This is okay. So Tua's back, right? We already know Tua's back, but it didn't like Tua didn't look that good against the Rams last week. Like it was a very bad game, like horrible game. They're actually, I think the Dolphins are the 32nd in offense and points scored. I think the Raiders are like 26th. So this could be a horrible offensive matchup. I mean, North Turner's back, Tony. He's the offensive consultant for the Raiders. His son's out there. But you know what the Raiders have said this week? they got to get that run game going. If something we've heard all damn year, they're gonna. Oh, it's gonna be a great game. Can't wait to watch this game. Like, if we thought the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight was bad last night, I hope there's buffering in this game just so I don't have to watch some of it. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I felt that way in the kind of, watching the final couple games of the Chargers last year. But they fought, they lost, and we got Joe Alt, so it all worked out nicely for us. This is one of those situations where it's like, sometimes you get the interim bump and it's good for the whole team. I do think that there is something to the Raiders getting a little bit of a bump from changing the offensive coordinator situation, just saying like, hey, we tried all this stuff and it didn't work. A lot of times when you change in the coordinator situation, it's like you really get a clear vision of like, hey, what do you guys want to do? What's successful? Where do you guys think we can succeed? Because this is like what we're doing right now is really bad. And one of the guys that I have been waiting for them to exploit or use a little bit more is Trey Tucker. He's healthy right now, right?
Yeah.
Like, why aren't they getting like shots to him downfield? Like obviously you have to get the run game going, or at least committed to the run so you can get play action working. The other thing that I think the Raiders can exploit in this game was I watched Jared Verse dominate the tackle. I'm blanking on his name right now for the Dolphins. Max Crosby's in this game. I think Crosby's got a real shot to just destroy and wreck this game. Another thing, it's tough for me to watch Tua. Like a lot of plays I watch with my eyes closed because I just don't want to see the end result. But like, it's going to be, this defensive line has a chance to be disruptive in this game, like you said, for this to potentially be low scoring just based on offenses that can't function properly. Although the Dolphins are starting to incorporate the Malik Washingtons and they're getting Jalen Wright out there on the field a little bit more often, adding another element of speed. So I do like the plus 7.5 for the Raiders in this one, just based on what I've seen from the Miami offense. But I'm picking the Dolphins to win the game.
Of course you would pick the Dolphins. I mean, of course you would. I think like you said, maybe the Raiders offense comes out and does some different stuff, right? Maybe they incorporate some people. Michael Mayer's back this week. They can have the 2 tight ends going if they wanted to do that. Like you said, I don't understand why they haven't used the speed down the field with the wide receivers that they had, DJ Turner and Trey Tucker. Like they showed it in the preseason, and then when they got to the regular season, nothing. It's like, why aren't you taking these shots anymore? The Raiders' defense is better than, or at least their cornerback, Ja'Cory Bennett, is really, really, really good. He's been shutting people down. So I'm not really worried about Tyreek Hill, who's injured. The Raiders had if you look back to last year, same week 11, the Raiders played the Dolphins in week 11. I think it was one of Antonio Pierce's, it was his first road game, right? And everybody thought the Raiders would get blown out by the Dolphins. They actually hung in there till the end. They had a good game plan against them last year. Can they continue to get it going? I think it was Aiden O'Connell who threw a pick at the end of the game last year that secured the win for the Miami Dolphins. So maybe the Raiders have come in here with a good game plan, keep it interesting. I'm just worried about the Raiders' defensive line because they can't stop the run worth shit, and you know that. So many injuries and just bad. It's something that the Raiders have talked about for years. Can't stop the run. But I don't know, Tony. Should I do it? Should I just believe in my team one more time, Tony? Just one time. Believe in them before I give up on them for the rest of the season. But if they win, this is the crazy thing. How many Raider fans would be pissed off if the Raiders win this week? That right there, Tony, is what gets me every damn time. When people, not just Raider fans, but any team where they just go, we should just lose. We should just lose, get a better draft pick. Yeah, that helps. Like you've seen people that get a better draft pick and all of a sudden they're a good team. Like, come on. But with all that said, Rory's saying that he's taking the Miami Dolphins here. You know what? Screw you, Tony, and screw Rory over there. I'm taking the Raiders to beat the Dolphins this weekend. We're back, baby. We're back.
What a shocker. You're back until I get that text message from you about 14 minutes into the game, and you're like, what the are they doing? And you're freaking out. Yeah, I always look forward to those messages. We shall see. I don't have a ton of hopes. I will say this, though, as like from a fan base perspective, I think that there's an element of like, I'm not necessarily as like towards, let's take about after the Herbert injury last year. I don't know why I can't speak correctly. Herbert gets injured at the end of the year. I never rooted for the Chargers to lose games. I wasn't happy about it, but I will say like I wasn't mad and I didn't go into the games nervous about the outcome. And I think that's sort of the difference for me. Whereas like, I'm not happy when my team loses, but I understand the sort of the silver lining of the situation. There's just like when you're going out there and you don't feel like your team can compete properly, you just are in that mindset where it's like, you're just not nervous about it. Like I'm very nervous about this game because the Chargers getting the Bengals at home where the Bengals are fighting for that final, couple playoff spots in the AFC. I don't believe there's any chance that they can catch to win the division. But there is a shot where they could end up as the 6-7 seed. And this is a game that a tiebreaker would go a long way with being the Chargers. Now, on the other side of it, it's like if the Chargers can get to 7 wins with 7 games to go, they're probably locked in at that like 6 seed, 5 seed, depending on how things shake out with Baltimore and Pittsburgh there. So I will be at this game. I am so pumped up for this game. And again, I feel nervous. I feel like that energy that's like, if they could just win this game, because the Chargers have beaten all of their opponents in games that they've won, they beat them all by double digits. You could say that a lot of those teams that they beat aren't very good based on their records. And in all of the other games, what do we got there? Is that my Christmas present when I show up at your Christmas party this year? What do we got happening here?
You said you were going for the Chargers, and somebody said it was my favorite team. So, number 77?
I love it. Is that Zion?
Oh. There you go, Zion Johnson autograph.
Oh, man, I love that. I will. Just wrap that up for me. I will open it up at your house. We'll make a video at the Christmas party this year. I'm going to finish up what I got to say about this. The Chargers in a situation to go out there this week, and the offense has been so close to clicking and really hitting. They're getting down to the red zone, settling for a lot of field goals, which I like taking those points. I like the direction the team is going, especially with the defense playing the way it is. The defense is going to get a test this week that I don't think that they've necessarily had at all this year. And Higgins back for them. It's going to be interesting to see how the Chargers defense shows up. I am picking the Chargers in this one. I think this is the first time this year where the Chargers defense gives up more than 20, but I believe that the Chargers can score 29. They can win this game 29-24 over the Bengals this week. Joe, who you got in this game?
So it's only been a week, right, since Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase put up that incredible game where they both, right? It was Thursday night last week where they both went crazy and like unbelievable and still lost. Like I think that was the game, right?
Yeah, they've had like 3 weeks this year where Burrows will have like these crazy numbers and they lose by like a point or two at the end of the game. And I think it was last week, Ravens Bengals, right?
Yeah. Here's what I've looked at when I watch Bengal games. Where's T. Higgins? If T. Higgins is playing, then I'll go with the Bengals. If he's not playing, I stay away from him. That is the one thing that I've learned from them. And you got questionable other positions that are questionable, but I don't know, Tony. I got to give your team a little bit of props. The Chargers have improved every single week, especially on offense, where everybody talked crap about their wide receivers going into the season. And Herbert is now showing that he is a good quarterback and a great quarterback, and dealing with the weapons that nobody else wants to. He's getting Quentin Johnson touchdowns, right? Just him catching the ball alone is an improvement from last year. Now, I think this is a really good test for the Chargers defense and something that we probably haven't seen that much. But I mean, it's Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Like, that's really who you got to stop. Just stop Jamar Chase, and you should be able to win this game. I'm going with the Chargers, Tony. I'll take your Chargers this week. I want you leaving SoFi State. I want you doing a cartwheel on your way out of SoFi State. It's bad enough that you got to go to that shitty ass stadium, right? That horrible stadium, and be there to watch the game. That I don't want you having to lose too.
SoFi's the shit. I love SoFi.
It is the shit. It is the shit.
It's the Dan Rizzi of stadiums. Darren Rizzi, my bad. So last thing on this game, I do think there is something to playing about a team that's desperate for a win. You have the Bengals traveling west. I think I saw a report where they came out here early. They have a bye week, and then the coach said to them, like, hey, let's stay out as a team and bond or whatever in LA for a couple of days after the game. Team agreed on it. Maybe there's a chance where the Chargers are like, hey, let's just go out there and let's break their will. Let's get after them early and really shut them down and kind of let them know, like, hey, your season's over. You know, like, your path to the playoffs is not going to end well trying to beat the Los Angeles Chargers. That's what I'm hoping for. Just put it, because you play teams that are desperate and they have a little bit more fight, but when you're playing with that sort of motivation of desperation, can you change that desperation to frustration? And that's the part that I think that they have to get after him in the first half. And I like the Chargers to be able to do that and have some really long drives. T. Higgins is back, according to the injury reports that I saw for fantasy.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at right now.
But
I mean, like I said that, and then I still go against. You know, I don't. Sometimes I just throw shit out, and I still don't go with my opinion. So.
But I appreciate you're trying to be a friend, a supportive friend. I appreciate that. On the frustration front, the Chicago Bears. This is like one of those situations where I'm not sure that this season for the Bears could have gone any worse than it has. Like, even so, I was talking to somebody about this, and somebody was saying, was talking about J.J. McCarthy, and he has the knee injury. He's missing the whole year, and what a terrible, devastating way to go. I never wish injury on anybody, but I don't think that, like, if Caleb Williams wasn't playing this year, it would actually be going better for the Bears. Like, if he wasn't on the field, because, like, they give DJ Moore the huge contract, and then every time I open up an article to read about it, it's like there's like players on the team that are saying they don't want the number one pick in the game. People want Tyson Bagent out there. Like, in my mind, that's crazy, because Joe, we always talk about this. Like, I just think this new era that we're in, we're giving up too fast on these players. Like, I still think Caleb Williams is going to be a great quarterback. He has great weapons. There is something going on where he's not playing well, but, like, your teammates should not be voicing opinions that they don't want the kid on the field. Like, there should be more of a buy-in for it. It's like, but I just look at it, I'm like, you have the Tyreek Stevenson, the way that thing ended. You're firing the offensive coordinator. It's coming out like the fans are cheering that they want Eberflus not out there. Like, it literally could not be going worse for the Bears right now than it is. And it doesn't get any better when you have the Packers coming, like your rival. Like, these two teams hate each other. The fan bases talk shit about each other. And I look at this and I'm like, I got Green Bay in this one. Like, I think that Green Bay is going to take advantage of all this coming off of the bye. I think they're going to beat the Bears pretty bad. What do you think?
If you thought the Bears were a 10-plus win team to begin the season, then you weren't thinking correctly, because you knew there were going to be growing pains with Caleb Williams, and no matter how good he was coming out of college or whatever. Now that they fired their offensive coordinator and moving on, I don't know if that's going to make a big difference. Like you said, there was already rumors, like they said, bench Caleb. Like, that's crazy. You got to let him go. And And like you said, it's not just Caleb Williams out there. Keenan Allen looks old. Cole Kmet doesn't look that great this year. Like the whole offense, like DJ Moore walking off the field a couple weeks ago. Like what are we doing here? Like the whole you can't quit just because shit goes wrong. But I think sometimes I think you're your own worst enemy. If you pump yourself up a lot and then stuff starts going the wrong way, you just get in that that mentality. Like we're gonna like we were talking about the Chiefs earlier. They think that no matter what happens, they're gonna win. There's teams like the Bears that when shit starts going bad, we lost. We're done. We're done. Like there's no way we're coming back. And you just get that mentality in your head, and you end up losing. I was watching it. Like Green Bay is coming in. They came in this season as one of the top teams, like that people were pumping up. And now I don't know if you've seen it where they're talking about how Jordan Love is a league winner for fantasy football. If you look at the Packers the rest of the season, that Jordan Love is the guy that you want to win your fantasy football championship because of the schedule they have. Eberflus shouldn't have came back this year. We talked about this many times. The Bears shouldn't have brought him back. I texted you last weekend, and I said Eberflus shouldn't be the coach next week. Like instead of firing your offensive coordinator, you should have just got rid of Eberflus and just moved on and said, we're making a decision anyways. Bears have a lot more changes coming at the end of the season. So the Bears are on their downhill. I'm going with you. I'm going with the Green Bay Pack.
Yeah, I actually think it's going to be a pretty big win, whether or not Love plays well or not. GH, we'll get to this game later, but I'm picking the Rams to win this one. The Rams are frustrating me right now, especially when you watch it. It's like the offense looks as bad as it's ever looked with McVay, and they're getting guys back and getting healthy, and they just can't seem to score touchdowns, which doesn't really make sense because Kyron Williams is the ball. Yeah, we're going to get to the Rams later, but it's frustrating, but I'm picking the Rams there.
You don't want to go to it right now?
Yeah, we can go down to the Rams game. I'm down for that. Yeah, so as I was saying, just watching the game last week against the Dolphins, even in the Seahawks game, just struggling to score touchdowns there with Nakua and cut back. And then last week they got offensive line back, and they were still having trouble running the football and getting things going and protecting Stafford in that game. I know that the Dolphins had Sealer back, the defensive lineman, who just looks fantastic. Because when they let Wilkins walk, I was like, yeah, I get you got money problems. You got a lot of money tied up in the offense, but like, can Sealer still be effective? He's fantastic coming back from injury. But the Rams side, it's like, you guys have so much talent. The defensive line for them, the idea of, hey, we're going to lose Hall of Famer, all-time great Aaron Donald. What's our plan? We're going to go draft they hit on all four of these guys. Fisk and Verse this year, last year Young and Turner. That defensive line can get after anybody, that combination. And then they have a veteran out there. I think the last name is pronounced Hoyt, Michael Hoyt, or Hecht, or however his name is. Got a bunch of letters in there that don't add up to the pronunciation. They're playing really well. They talked a lot about Shula in the Monday night game and what he's done defensively. I think they've looked great. The offense has to do their part. And the Rams are one of those dangerous teams where if they catch fire, it could be right there. The Patriots side of this game for me, if I'm a Patriots fan and I've talked to one of my best friends who is a Patriots fan, they love what they're seeing from he loves what he's seeing from Drake May. I'm the same way. I'm out there watching this guy and I'm like, get an off season together where you're able to like restock on the offensive line. Maybe you guys convince one of these wide receivers out there to come take your big check. Ayuk didn't want it, but maybe T. Higgins wants it. You know, like maybe you get another out there where Douglas can move down to a 2 or 3. Keyshawn Booty, he moves down to a 2 or 3. You still have Hunter Henry under contract, so you have a veteran presence at tight end. You're getting another year of draft picks. The defense has a lot of playmakers on it. You have a defense. Like the Patriots aren't that far off from being a good competitive team. As far as this game goes, I like the Rams in this game to get things going offensively and score a few more touchdowns in this one. So I like the Rams to edge them out. What do you think?
Well, I think we talked about the Patriots last week when I told you, I go, they're a good young team, and you just see improvement each and every week from them. And you have to be very excited of what you see from Drake May since he's coming to the games and continue to go. He's going to be a badass quarterback for years to come. And you're making it where you're playing and you're being competitive each and every week. Where, like you said, when it comes to the offseason, players are going to look and be like, that's not a total dumpster fire. I'm going to go there and we can make changes there. The Rams, they didn't look that good last week, Tony. They played the Miami Dolphins, and like I already talked about how Tua looked bad in that game, and the Rams should have won that game, and they didn't. Sean McVay and Mayo, if you guys are listening, come here. Let me tell you something. Run the fucking ball. Run the ball. Both teams are better when Williams is running the ball well and when Stevenson is running the ball. Give the damn running backs the ball and let them work. Let them, what do they say? Let them cook, Tony. Let them cook and take some pressure off your quarterbacks and the offensive line. Just let the damn running backs do their job, and you're a better team when do it. You know what, Tony? Just for the hell of it, I'm taking the Patriots in this game. 10 a.m. West Coast time game. I'm taking the Patriots to pull this win. How big of an upset is that? It's not because the Rams are 4-5. They're 3-7. It's not like it's like, oh crap. But I'm taking the Patriots. I'm going to take the Patriots.
Vegas is saying. I mean, typically teams get 3 points at home, so they're saying this is like a 7.5 point. They're saying that the Rams, they expect the Rams to potentially win this game pretty big, and I just feel the same way. I just think that the defensive line is going to cause problems because they are so young and active there. And the linebacker that you like, Joe, every week he pops a little bit more. Spieth.
Spieth, yeah.
Every week he gets a little bit more of the game. The understanding, he gets better every week. So good on him.
Every time I see him on the field, I'm like, fuck. I called it. Like I told you, like I remember when I brought him up around draft time and I was like, Tony, watch this guy. And you were like, I don't know. And you started watching him and you're like, oh shit. And then all of a sudden they got rid of Ernest Jones and he's like, well, what are the Rams doing? But Tommy's saying if the Lambs lose, they're frauds.
Yes, it will not. It does not adding up well. I will say that.
I get to testify, Tony. Testify,
Joe. You know that I am all about running the football. It shows my age for sure because I prefer it to be if there's a balance and has to be tipped in one way. I'm 51-49 for running the football.
And then Tommy's saying the Lambs' offensive line is a toilet.
It is, and they invested in it, and they got Jackson. They got Jonah Jackson back last week, and Avila was out there. Like the offensive line is it's gotta just it's so close to figuring it out, and I do think this is the week where they put it all together, and I like the Rams to win big.
You see John Gruden with what's he with Barstool Sports now. And he was talking about Drake May, how he really likes Drake May as well.
No, I didn't, but I could definitely see that, being his kind of a quarterback. He's got a little bit of that sort of old school toughness, and he's got that gamer, that Favre like where it's like, oh yeah, big, strong. I'm gonna sling it into certain spots on the field that might be a little bit dangerous, but I'm trusting my ability. He plays with a certain level of confidence and toughness that I think resonates with the old school guys. Like they really, they respond to that. They feel like they can coach that into something positive. I think that's why Andy Reid was so drawn to Patrick Mahomes, where he was like, oh yeah, this guy has all the abilities, plays with a certain level of arrogance bordering, confidence bordering on arrogance that I can figure out how to use and turn into something that's fantastic. And I hate it. I hate it all. Hate's a strong word. I tell my kids not to use it. I should stop using it. Let's go.
Because you always send me those texts all the time.
Let's do this one. Is this isn't this Huxley's team, the 49ers? You 49ers fan?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was going to write down some stats, and I never do. But I think that they've beat Geno Smith like all 5 or 6 times that they've played him, where he's been the quarterback of the team. Like the 49ers beat down Geno Smith. I really like the 49ers in this game to have one of those like classic 49er football games where they come out and physically imposing on defense, even though it's not quite the same kind of defense. I think early on they get after Geno in this game, especially while they're trying to reincorporate DK Metcalf into the system. And then offensively, I thought that that CMC played well last week. He's going to get another game back in the system. If Jordan Mason can also be healthy, that feels like a great 1-2 punch. Jennings, Debo. Now, Moody, I'm a Michigan guy. Come on, brother, make your kicks. Like, I literally can't defend you anymore. Like, I just keep telling people, I'm like, he's a really good kicker. He makes kicks. And then since he's got to the 49ers, he's not been great at making his kicks. Got to make them this week. I like the Niners at home to win this one pretty handedly in this game. So Huxley's down here giving injury updates. He's saying, what did he say?
Trent Williams might not play.
Yeah,
that's
not great.
And then if you didn't know that the Seattle center retired this week after starting every game this week, coming back from an injury. This year he's now retired.
I didn't see that. Who was it?
Yeah, the center, he was 27 years old.
Huh. Well, they drafted the center they drafted from Michigan a few years ago, Oluwatimi. He's played guard and
Connor Williams.
Connor Williams. Okay. He's the one who's had the snapping issues.
Yeah, and he just came back. Like he was coming back from an injury, but he's played all year, but he just wasn't happy to be playing football anymore, I guess.
I mean, football is like one of those sports where you not only have to practice and work incredibly hard, but you have to be in love with just like punishment and beating yourself up. And if you're not there and you're not committed, like it's a brutal way to make a living. So I fully understand.
I read stuff about him that he said he's a perfectionist, and he was beating himself down all year. Like it wasn't like it was just this week where he was like, I'm done. I think he's been fighting it all year, where he was like, I'm not playing like the way I feel like I should be playing. Like I said, he was coming back from a big injury this year, and it just becomes like I don't know. We were never lucky enough to be where these guys are, but it is a job. At the end of the day, they go into a job, and if you're not happy playing a child's game anymore, then it is good to walk away. Is it good to walk away mid-season? I don't know. I kind of question myself, like question people like that. Like, you couldn't toughed it out to the end of the year and then just walked away. Like, that's just me. But if you're not happy and you're able to walk away from your situation, you do it. And he's doing it. So good for him. Now to get back to this game. I don't like to say that NFL players are scared because they're the toughest motherfuckers out there, some of these guys, right? But when Geno Smith plays the San Francisco 49ers, you can see it in his eyes that he's just like, oh, shit. Like he gets like, I don't know what it is, but it's something about the Niners defensive line that gets to him. Maybe it's Nick Bosa, right? Because we know how Nick Bosa does against black quarterbacks, that he's a better pass rusher against them. I don't know, but okay. For the last, I'm a big 49er hater, and I love to talk shit about the 49er fans. And this is one team that I've always go, Seahawks can pull that upset. Seahawks can beat the 49ers. And I did it last year. I was wrong. I did it at the beginning of this year. I think I took the Seahawks. And I remember now I just have to remind myself, like, hey, Geno Smith can't hang with these guys. Geno Smith is the downfall to the Seattle Seahawks against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I'm trying to talk myself into it, Tony, of going with the Seattle Seahawks again, because I could say, the second half of the game in the first game was different, where Seattle got their ass kicked all the first half. Then they found something going for them in the second half, and it's going to be different. I'm not falling for that shit again. I'm not falling for the damn Seattle trap again. I'm going with the 49ers to win this game, and I'm staying away. If Geno Smith can get some kind of confidence against the 49ers going, then maybe the Seattle will win, but I'm not falling for it. I'll take this loss if Seattle ends up winning this game. But I like I said, there's something about Geno when he plays the 49ers where he's just done. He's done. Like going into the game, he's mentally checked out.
Yeah. The Tommy says dead last special teams. I think Jay Harbaugh is the special teams coordinator for the Seahawks. So that's not good. Got to figure that one out, Jay. Michigan guy. I root for Harbaugh's all around to fully.
Just because they went to Michigan doesn't mean they're good. And Jake Moody, I forgot about Jake Moody. That's hilarious. But hey, he's not the only one. Like kickers, are they just missing in threes now? Is that what it is? Like you had Moody last week that missed it. You had Koo that missed 3 field goals. And then just last week or on Monday night, we had the guy from the Eagles missed 3.
Oh, he's saying San Francisco special teams are dead last. Yes.
Yeah.
We talked about that last week about how terrible it is, and I've listened to some other people talk about how that Kyle's like not super interested in even practicing special teams. It's like, well, maybe you want to spend some more time practicing.
Let me ask you this: did CMC look good to you last week?
I mean, first game of the year, you got to find your rhythm. He didn't seem to be as fleet of foot as in the past, but like he was effective enough. And I think that if he can continue to build on what was last week, it was essentially a preseason game. Like hasn't played competitive football since the Super Bowl. We're talking, what is that? 8 months, 9 months?
They had to bring him back, but do you think they brought him back like trying to rush him back, or where it's just like, hey, let's go?
No, I think that it was one of those things where it's like, hey, we got to kind of shit or get off the pot here. Like if something's bad's going to happen, then something bad's going to happen. Like there's not really anything we can do. So let's get you ready and get you where we think we can get you on the field and have you out there ready to compete. So I'm all for Christian McCaffrey out there playing. It's more exciting when he's on the field. The wheel route catch that he made last week was fantastic. Let's go. We got a couple more games left here. We'll make this one pretty quick. Jacksonville going to Detroit -14. This feels like a college spread. Jacksonville hasn't. I didn't realize this, but they haven't even had their bye yet this year. Where at a certain point, like when you're on a team like this, I feel like you just go on by and then you just don't sort of return mentally in football. We've seen that with other teams in the past. Mac Jones, the way the game ended last week was just absolutely brutal. I think this is like the Lions get home, they get back, and they dominate a team that is just looking for reasons to like not be as competitive. Where it's like they're not really playing for much. We're going to compete, but only to a certain extent type situation. Where it's like we don't want to get injured. I actually think the Lions can win this game by more than 14 points.
Oh, yeah. Oh, like we've talked about it before. Like we talked about ugly games. This should be an ugly game. Yeah. If the Lions struggle against Mac Jones in this offense, then maybe we should question how good it will be going forward. But no, this should be an easy. Maybe we'll see Hendon Hooker at the end of this game. Like, right? That's how bad of a game it is. Your mic is off, Tony. You muted yourself.
I definitely think we could see Hendon Hooker at the end of this game. Yeah. It's,
hey, actually, the show is better when you do that, Tony. Like we should just do the rest of the show.
when I mute my microphone.
We can just dub over it later, like just like.
Yeah, we can edit in me saying the right stuff, so I can be 100% correct. Let's go to Atlanta versus the Broncos. I'm taking the Broncos.
Two teams that should have beat the Chiefs this year.
Yes, both of them. I think the Broncos would get this one at home, and this is like Atlanta. I had Atlanta as like a 9-win team, and I still think they're going to finish around that 9-10 win mark. The way that their division is shaped up, it's still going to be enough to win the South. But Kirk Cousins having to deal with the defensive line and the amount of pressure that the Broncos could bring, I think is a tough spot for him. And I'm not going to say that I've liked what I've seen from the Broncos, but like I think it's good enough to get a win here at home, and this week they figure it out how to make the game-winning field goal in this game, where Devon Vele, the wide receiver, I believe from Utah, has been playing really nice. Cortland Sutton still out there playing well. Excuse me. And the Broncos are fighting and desperate for that final playoff spot. So I'm gonna take the Broncos to win this one in a kind of an ugly game.
Yeah, the Broncos are playing the way that you're supposed to play. Like defense, have a young quarterback that doesn't, don't make mistakes, just move the ball. And I don't know what to make of the Falcons, because one week you're like, oh damn, they look good. The next week it's like they're back to being horrible. I don't know. I question the Falcons, and I can't get behind them. Like you said, like, are the Falcons a verge of a playoff team? Yes. Are they going to be there? I don't know, but I hate to say it because the Broncos are in the AFC West and they just continue to get better. But Sean Payton has his team moving in the right direction, and like I said, they're not making the mistakes that you see from other teams. And then that's what you got to do, especially late in the season. Bo Nix is turning out to be the guy that we all thought he could be in the NFL. Not an elite quarterback, just a good, solid quarterback that, hey, your defense, don't fuck it up for your defense, basically, is what you're doing. I'm taking the Broncos too. I'll take the Broncos in this game.
Yeah, I think he's uses his athletic ability to be able to function properly. So even on weeks when he's struggling pass game wise and stuff, like, he's still out there getting first downs, moving with his legs. And again, just is a tough spot for a quarterback who's not going to be super mobile. And then I think the Broncos secondary is going to be good enough to play. Mooney was dealing with some ankle Achilles or something this week. Not great there. I like the Broncos to win.
Woo.
Let's go to New Orleans. This game right here.
Hell yeah.
This is one of those games where, like, I will not go back and check and see how things really shook out. Watch some highlights from it after it's over with. But I'm going to take the Browns in just a sort of like they have more talent. I mean, Myles Garrett. I think Nick Chubb can have a good game in this one. I like what I've seen from Tillman. I like Jameis Winston better than I like Derek Carr at this point. So, like, I guess I'm just taking the Browns. I'm not exactly sure which Saints team that I'm going to get. Like, can they fight that hard? Multiple.
Well, we called for the Saints to get blown out last week, and they won the game. Like that was something that we were like, damn, what the hell? They came out fighting. Look, the only thing exciting about this game that gets me like wanting to watch this game is just wanting to see what Jameis Winston says in his pregame interview. Like, that's the only thing exciting. Like this, I don't know. We thought Nick Chubb would make a comeback. Like, I didn't think so, but a lot of people thought Nick Chubb would be better with like putting the expectations on a guy with a broken leg last year to come back. We thought the Saints offense could be better. I don't know. Do you think this is going to be a more than 20-point game for both teams?
Well, so I believe that the Browns could put up like 30 points in this game. Like, I think this could be a great Jameis Winston game, where he's back there in New Orleans, spent a couple seasons there, and Jameis is just out there having one of those number one overall pick games where he throws for 320 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, defense maybe gets in and creates some short fields, scores a touchdown. Like, I like the Browns, and I don't really have anything other than just like, I don't think that highly of the Saints.
You sold me, Tony. I'm taking the Browns too.
With no real rhyme or reason there.
No, I'm just kidding.
We'll do Monday Night Football here. We've got Texans going to the Cowboys. I think the Texans have been it's been good. It's been rocky. It hasn't been really that impressive in a lot of spots, but I like CJ Stroud to figure some stuff out this week. And then this is also going to be like a nationally televised game where this is where you start to get a lot of eyeballs already in Dallas, but you get even more when it's a primetime game. And this is when you start getting like reputable people who've played in the NFL where they start picking out film. They start picking out things of like, look at this guy quit on this play. And then that shit goes viral and it goes nuts. Can the Cowboys stay fully locked in and engaged for the entire part of this game, even if things are going terrible with Cooper Rush or with Trey Lance at quarterback? I'm going to watch this game. I think the Texans are going to roll in this football game. I think they're going to be able to run the ball with Mixon. Nico Collins looks like he's going to be back for this Monday night game. Like, I think the Texans win by a lot, and it looks terrible. And we see a frustrated Micah, CD, and Coach McCarthy. Like, I like the Texans big.
Everything we talked about the Dallas Cowboys going into the season is exactly what's happening right now. Remember when we talked about it, the dumpster fire, the fire of the Cowboys would, once they start losing, they're going to start throwing each other under the bus, and it's going to get horrible. And we saw it last week. Micah Parsons threw his own coach under the bus, said, hey, he can leave next year. I'm not playing for him. I'm playing for other people in this locker room. That right there, Jerry Jones should have walked downstairs and said, McCarthy, I'm relieving you of your duties. Have a good one. You've already lost the locker room. If your top player is saying that he's not playing for you, who's he playing for? Who's he playing for? Like, just walk down there and be like, see you later. The Dallas Cowboys are going to get embarrassed on Monday night in the state of Texas by another Texas team. This is the crazy part about it. And this won't be the only, like Mike Tyson and Jake Paul was horrible performance last night in AT&T Stadium. Wait till Monday night when you watch the home team from the Dallas Cowboys. Hey, all of a sudden, Tony, last night they found curtains that blocked the sun in that stadium. That was nice, right? You could do that for a fight. You can't do that for CeeDee Lamb not to catch a touchdown pass. The Dallas Cowboys are complete, and I'm a Raider fan saying this. Dallas Cowboys are a joke, and it looks like the later part of the Al Davis era in Oakland.
It is starting to get like that, where it's like you have somebody making decisions for your football team that it might not be in the best interest of your football team. It might be time to hand this off to a.
Warrior was saying that at the beginning of the year, he thought this could be an unlikely Super Bowl matchup.
At the beginning of the year, I think a lot of people had higher hopes for this. I was not one for the Cowboys side of it. Like, there just was too much uncertainty going into the year with the Dak contract, the CD contract. The coach doesn't have a contract for next year. You know, they didn't do much to shore up places in the offensive line. You got age, but then you have rookie starting for you at tackle. Like, it just didn't. Things weren't adding up. I had the Cowboys missing the playoffs. I did not have it being like a total dumpster fire like it is right now, where it's just chaos and it's like the purge out there in Dallas playing for them. So we'll see how they can get it together.
I don't feel bad for Dallas Cowboy fans. I don't at all. I mean, you need to check on them. Like, if you know a Cowboy fan, go check on them because they're not used to losing this early in the season. They're used to crying and their season not going, not being Super Bowl, but they're used to going to the first round of the playoffs and then losing, not being losers this early.
When I look at the schedule, I see the Cowboys as being a team that ends up with a top 4 pick in the draft. And that's not necessarily the worst thing, but it depends on what the organization has, like the direction, who's shaping it. And we just can't.
Well, now they're fighting for the Sanders pick, right? Now they could, and it's funny that they're talking about Shedeur Sanders going to the Dallas Cowboys after you just gave Dak Prescott a huge extension. Like, that's insane. That would be the most Cowboy move ever.
Well, that too, and like everybody, it's like they need to focus more on football and less of it being a circus. And then there's like Michael Irvin out there like actively campaigning to bring Deion Sanders to the Cowboys as the head coach. It's like, no, you guys need less of that. You guys need to go more of the Jason Garrett route. Go hire Kellen Moore away from your rivals so that Jalen Hurts has to have his fourth offensive coordinator in 4 years. Like, that's the move. Like, go get somebody who's going to not fight back against Jerry, but knows how things work in Dallas, has a great relationship with the guy you just paid $60 million to. Like, that's the move. It's not go get maybe like the biggest name in coaching. Like, Deion Sanders is right there. Like, last year it was like Harbaugh at Michigan. You know, you're going to have Belichick out there this year, Pete Carroll, Vrabel. Like, there's going to be a lot of names. I think that the smart, safer move is to go get Kellen Moore and then go find, like, you know, the right defensive coordinator to figure.
And that's been Jerry Jones's issue the last 2 seasons, right? Is 2 years ago he let Kellen Moore walk instead of just promoting him to head coach and getting rid of Mike McCarthy. Last season he did the same thing. He kept Mike McCarthy and let Dan Quinn walk when you should have just been like, hey, sorry, you're the guy that we got to let go. The players are respecting the other guy.
Yeah, like Dan Quinn would have. I think things would have been different for Dallas this year if Dan Quinn was the HC. Not much different because it's a player situation, but I think it could have been a little bit different. There could have just been a little bit more foundation if they knew. It's like the thing with Micah where he's got to, like, you know, he has to go into his podcast and clarify what he's saying about Mike McCarthy. And in my estimation, like, I think Mike McCarthy's a very good football coach. Like, we joke about him, but, like, the guy's won Super Bowls, has a tremendous record, won 12 games 3 years straight with this team. And that's tough to do when you have your owner going on every week and saying crazy shit into microphones. So,
hey, I'm not gonna lie. I'll take Mike McCarthy in Las Vegas. You know, if he wants to come on over.
I think that would actually be a move in the right direction. I don't think that's the direction you guys are going at all. Let's talk about directions. Aaron Rodgers said he wants to come back for another season, which to me is like, are you just saying that so like it doesn't seem like everybody's giving up? Like, are you like, why? Like, take your time in the off season. Like, go to one of your retreats or do whatever it is. Like, there's no need to be really weighing in on what you're doing next year unless it's like, hey, I have to say this so that the team stays engaged. I think that I picked the Colts +4. I don't think that the Jets should be favored over anybody by 4 points with basically what I'm seeing every week, and I'm watching from the team defensively, offensively, whatever it is. I think that the D-line of the Colts has the ability to go after, cause problems for a guy that's not looked super mobile this year, dealing with a ton of injuries at 40 years old. And I like the Colts to win this game and get headed on the right track. Like, this week, let's run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. We got Anthony Richardson back out there. We're going to have about 10 designed runs for this guy to go out there and just start punishing that team, putting together some long drives, maybe hitting a couple of big play action plays down the field to Pittman or Alec Pierce and put this game to bed pretty early. It's not good for the New York Jets.
Well, Anthony Richardson's back. So, and this is what we've called for. Like, if you're benching a young quarterback for a guy that you think is going to be better, and then that guy goes out and makes the same mistakes, like, you go with the young guy. And the Aaron Rodgers coming back next year. I guess when Devontae Adams took that trade to New York, he asked Devontae, or he made sure that they were going to be there for 2 years. Like, you're going to be here next year. Yes. Okay. So I don't know. Like, we've talked about the Jets. Like, that's horrible. I made a joke about it, like, last night about Mike Tyson. Like, we haven't seen somebody that washed up since watching Aaron Rodgers last week. Like, and then I don't know if you saw, like, the interviews this week with the Jets, like Sauce Gardner, where they're talking about how the head coach had a tackling clinic in the meeting this week. Like, he showed him how to wrap up and tackle in the team meeting this week. And Sauce Gardner's like, we know how to tackle. We don't need that shit. Like, it looked like Sauce Gardner has mentally checked out, or like that just pissed him off. He goes, we don't need somebody showing us how to tackle. We know how to tackle. We just didn't do it. Like, they missed like 20 tackles that last game.
And at this point, like, tackling is a lot about effort, right? It's a lot about commitment, because you don't get to the NFL not knowing how to tackle and wrap up. You don't get to be a top 5 defense under Robert Saleh for the last 3 years not knowing how to tackle or wrap up. You get to be where they're at defensively because you are in absolute chaos right now. That is how you get to the point where it's like, man, do I really have that effort, that drive, that extra little bit of grit and determination that it takes to finish the playoff? And honestly, when you watch it, it's like, no, you don't. You're not there. Like, Sauce Gardner's not having an all-pro season like he's had the past couple of years. And I don't think that that's like necessarily a huge shocker, because it's nuts going on there. But if you're trying to attract a new head coach, like, who wants to come to the Jets and be like, well, I've got Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams for one more year, and then after that I'm going to have to start over all over again? There's a ton of talent on the Jets team. You should want it. But I would want the job. I would rather start with like salary cap issues on my team and just starting fresh, keeping the young talent that we have on this, like, going to Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, and just saying like, hey, this is what we're building around. This is what our focus should be. These are the people we're going to rally around. Like, not saying, oh, we're going to go at this one more year in this direction. It's like, no, you guys should be in the market for trying to get a quarterback, not a bridge. Like, let's go try and find the future of this organization. Let's play defense.
I don't know who I want to take in this game, Tony, because I can't trust Anthony Richardson right now. I can't. Like, I don't know how you're sitting there going, the Colts are going to win this game. We talked about some bad matchups. This is a bad matchup.
But just run the football. Like, just have a game plan where it's like, we are going to minimize the amount of throws. Richardson's going to throw the ball 18 to 20 times in this game, and we are going to run the ball 40 to 42 times with Taylor, with Richardson, with Goodson, with anybody healthy. We're going to have some end arounds to Pierce built in. Maybe they get Anthony Gould. I'm not even sure if he's healthy or not, but like, he was a rookie. He's got a lot of speed. And we bring him out there for some sort of trickery or something. Like, let's figure it out. I just, like, how can you pick the Jets to win? Just, like, it's not good. It's nothing I see out there is good. I don't think all of a sudden they just rally this week and it's better. Like, I'm taking the Colts, even if Richardson can only complete 10 passes.
All right, I'm with you. I'll go with the Colts. Tony got me going. I'm going with the Colts.
An impassioned speech about the second to last game. I made this game the last game because it's not even like, of all the teams we talked about that are like down at the bottom of the barrel or whatever it is, like, I think the Tennessee Titans are actually like playing really tough football. They're right there. They just don't have it at the quarterback position right now. And this is one of those games where if Will Levis starts this game, he is not great against the blitz. And you have a team that's going to bring a ton of pressure against him. I think the Vikings have a field day if Levis is the starter in this game. I believe that he is. And it's got to be Sam Darnold's got to get whatever he had at the beginning of the season. He's got to start to capture and go headed back in that direction. I believe that he will. I think it's going to start this week where he's going to get out there. He's going to be able to make some stuff happen with all of the different weapons that he has up there. I think that every time you reincorporate a big part of the offense for somebody who's not a stable veteran quarterback, I think it's tough to figure out how to rework the offense with TJ Hawkinson. That takes a couple of weeks to add that component. When it is not, you're bringing back Chase. It's not when you're bringing back a guy like Justin Jefferson, like that level of player where it's like, oh, this is easy. I already know that their first read, we're game planning towards them. But when you're trying to incorporate new pieces that aren't necessarily the focal point, I think that's when stuff gets a little bit tougher. So I like the Vikings to cruise to victory in this game. I think the defense has a fantastic week against this Titans offense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on the Vikings winning this game, winning easily, and the defense being the big part of it. It's just like you said. I thought that T.J. Hawkinson had a good game last week in his return. I thought he was playing pretty good. Just incorporating the rest of the offense, getting everybody on the same page. Aaron Jones went out for a little bit last week, but I think it's growing pains with the Minnesota Vikings with that offense. What you showed, it takes 4 weeks for the NFL. It says for the NFL to catch up to you. So we're right there where people are watching the film. There's enough tape on people, and now you just got to adjust again and get back to it. And I think the Vikings will be all right. But yeah, this should be an easy win for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, you all knew that there was going to be bumps in the road with Sam Darnold at some point. He wasn't just going to come out and be an MVP, but he's shown that he can string together multiple weeks of good quarterback play. And I just think playing in a system with a great offensive mind in Kevin O'Connell, right? Maybe great's too far, but a really good offensive mind in Kevin O'Connell. Great, and I can say that for sure, great weapons to be able to disperse the ball to. Like he doesn't have to look over his shoulder and be like, oh, is Nick Mullins coming for me? Are they talking about drafting? No, they've already drafted the next guy. So now all he has to do is go on ball so that he can go and sign a big offseason contract with whoever it is that needs quarterback. And there's a lot of teams that are going to be in the market for Sam Darnold this offseason. And the Vikings might even be that team that says like, hey, sorry, bud, but we're going to franchise you for 1 more year, and we're going to let JJ be active on game day and sit behind you and be the backup. And it's just how we're going to roll. Unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. But I've liked the way I think the Titans have fought and compete hard. Watching them against the Chargers, I know they lost by 10 points and scored the garbage time touchdown where they were actually down 17, but they were competing. It wasn't for lack of trying in that game. I thought they were engaged, and they have some stuff headed in the right direction for that team.
Week 11, Tony, we did it.
In the books. This is awesome. I love hanging out.
I like the new setup, Tony. I like it. This is very nice.
Yeah, we should be able to keep this rocking and rolling every week. We can go ahead and get this one off the screen. Hope that everybody enjoys their weekend, has fun. If you get out to the games, I will be at Sofi on Sunday night. Bolt up. Got to win, Joe. Got to figure it out. Playoffs. I think Harbaugh, was he on that team? No, he was. That was that the Manning? Was that the first year Peyton Manning? Maybe Jim Harbaugh was on one of those Jim Mora teams, I believe. Thank you, Rory. Appreciate it, brother. We'll see you next Saturday. Hang out, talk a little bit of ball,
and one day we'll get him on the show.
We should. You said that he follows you on social media. So, Rory, if you're still there, reach out and we'll figure out. I'm pretty sure that the internet reaches all the way over to where's he from? Ireland? All right.
Let's get a camera and a microphone, and we're good to go.
Yeah. Even if it's just for the Chiefs game. But I'm sure. You seem to have opinions on all of it. It'd be fun.
Even if it's just him with a pint right here, just
nodding, agreeing, thumbs up. Throwing stuff at the camera. All right, Joe, let's get out of here. Everybody have a great, safe weekend. Put some positivity onto the internet. Go, cheer on your favorite player to have a really big game on Sunday or Monday or whenever it is that they play. We'll see you guys next Saturday. Let's get out of here. Flipping a coin.